All right, Unit 4 Agriculture, Essential Questions 3 and 4. Again, the last notes, video notes for trimester 1, Regular Human Geography. What is shifting cultivation? They're found in tropical regions. It's also known as slash and burn, so they're interchangeable terms. There is cycles. Those cycles are trying to keep the soil fertile, and they use rotation cycles within those fields. So they clear the land. They'll use that burned debris as nutrients to replenish the soil. The farm remains fertile for 3 years or less. Then it lays fallow, empty, for 6 to 20 years, so a very inefficient form of farming. In LDCs and MDCs, it's also pollutes a lot by letting carbon emissions in the air by burning the vegetation for nutrients. All right, again, the problem is large area, loss of land to deforestation, and then low yields, and then pollution, as I already mentioned. This is an example of shifting cultivation. When we look at deforestation in Amazon, Brazil, slash and burn accounts for 63%. Pastoral nomadism found in arid or desert regions. It's herding of animals. Animal types, it's based on culture and environment, meaning that oftentimes they have very predictable patterns of farming, and they do not eat the animals, and most of the animals are either sheep or camels. They use, and they're found oftentimes near oases. They extract milk, which they exchange for furs and skins and other tradable items. And again, they get food from trading the animal products, and they're subsistent farmers. They follow very predictable migratory patterns, and they're shrinking because of technology. Intensive subsistence agriculture. It's densely populated in LDCs, primarily in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. The fields are small and little land is wasted. And those are the two reasons why it's referred to as intensive. And also basic tools. The wet rice is in Southeast Asia and India. And they follow a process of planting seedlings in flooded fields, which are called paddies. And then they use intensive labor, hand labor. Northern China and interior India are non-wet rice, and they produce wheat and barley as their main grains. And they have some small cash crops. We can see rice production, which was already noted in the previous slide. So areas of India along the coastlines, and then the Indus, the Ganges River. And then we also have eastern China and Southeast Asia. And this looks like the intensive hand labor for picking in the paddies. Plantation farming is a commercial farm that specializes in monocropping, which is 1 or 2 crops. They're in tropical LDCs. They're owned by foreign companies. More developed countries own them. And they oftentimes produce staple crops for for clothing, such as cotton, and then other additives that are used in other agriculture productions. And they're imported. Workers are imported, and they're on site of the large plantation farm fields. And it was very common before the Civil War, but now we see plantation farms in LDCs and not in MDCs. And this shows you a plantation in southern United States. Shows you the world plantations. Why is there an overproduction problem? Farmers produce more than the market demands. And then there's policies for surplus production, such as the U.S. government will buy surplus at a reduced cost, which doesn't provide that wage to make up for profit loss. They can plant the rest of the crops as clover or hay, and then government subsidies, as I already mentioned, and then government buybacks. All right, sustainable agriculture. The most widely used globally is organic, but it only accounts for 25 hundredths of a percent or a quarter of a percent of the world's farmland. They limit the use of chemicals such as herbicides, pesticides, insecticides. They integrate crops, livestock, so they balance the number of animals. They don't have confinement. They let free range. And then also it's the true mixture of crops and livestock. And they also use irrigation patterns that recycle water. And here you can kind of see through this organic farming practice how they use sustainable practices. All right, in the complex structure of organic industries, we see organic farms in the U.S. and chemical control of insecticides, and then treated for commercial fertilizers. Again, overproduction in regions of the U.S. And then certified organic states in 2016 by the USDA. Here we have the Dirty Dozen, those that contain possible, these are the products that often contain insecticides or fertilizer, some type of chemical toxin, and starting with strawberries down to potatoes, and then these are okay. Most of them have protective exterior layer, which makes them less susceptible to toxins from pesticides and insecticides and herbicides. Challenges of subsistence farming. We learned in population that LDCs account for 95% of all natural increase rate or population growth. They have a difficult time keeping up with the growing populations. And they have difficulty exporting because of the competition of plantation farms, which are controlled by foreign governments. There's strategies for increasing food supply, expanding land, which is the least likely. There is expanding land is least likely because of deforestation and desertification, the expanding of deserts. They can increase productivity, which is probably the most likely, and that is through the Green Revolution, so advancement of hybrid GMO seeds, and also finding new food sources, phonology, seafoods, higher protein grains, so the HYV seeds, higher yield value seeds, which comes from the Green Revolution. They can create biogenetic seeds that have more protein in the grains, and it can also improve the taste, palatability. They can increase trade using the Green Revolution, and there's also export incentives. We can see that undernourishment is a problem in developing regions. South Asia has a huge undernourishment problem. By the line chart in 2011, it shows over 300 million people in South Asia, mostly in India and Pakistan, and then sub-Saharan Africa, and then East Asia, slightly declining. And results of the Green Revolution have created countries such as India and Mexico and Canada as major exporters. Dangers of expanding land, as I already mentioned, you have the fears of desertification, where we see high areas of desertification in sub-Saharan Africa, parts of southwestern Asia, northern southwestern Asia, central Asia, southern eastern Europe, and then western U.S. And then we also see areas where the populations mostly resides in Australia along the coastlines, the eastern coastline.